Welcome to another episode of 10 Words or Less, in which I ask brief questions of interesting people and ask them for brief answers in return. I'm Michael Prager, a well-being coach, a professional speaker, and a two-time author of books that focus on how we sustain ourselves. Food is a very big part of that discussion, as you can imagine. Today's guest is founder of the Suppers program and a pioneer in deploying community to help those who want to live more vibrantly via lifestyle changes that include food choices. She has a master's in counseling, is a master gardener, a certified reflexologist, and a massage therapist. Now here's my usual proviso to those of you playing at home. 10 words or less is a target, not a rule, so please no counting. If you think it's so easy, let's see you do it. On the fly, no less. So, Dorothy, I know the answer because we've exchanged emails, and so I've seen your name in print, but it's a relic of my time as a print reporter. Please spell your first and last names as you wish them to appear.
Dor, D-O-R, Mullen, M-U-L-L-E-N.
Okay, born when and where?
Born Paterson, New Jersey, 1955.
Do you mind giving your birthday?
Birthday is May 22, 55.
52255. Excellent. So, was there anything notable about the circumstances of your birth? Was Elvis in the next bed, for example?
It was entirely unremarkable.
Okay. Where do you live now?
Princeton, New Jersey.
Okay, I just noticed that my phone is making noise. I'm going to turn it off. Okay. This I don't need to pry, so you can give as much detail about this as you want. But what's your family circumstance? Married, kids, divorced?
Divorced for a long time, 3 adult children.
Got it. Please tell me an early influence outside of your family on you.
Well, in today's discussion, probably intractable health problems.
Wonderful honoring of the 10 words or less. Would you like to give us a few more on what those problems were?
Sure. I didn't figure out until in my 50s that in my teens I was mercury poisoned, and it set the whole course of my life: health, mental health, addictions, everything.
How did that happen, do you know?
Yeah, it's a combination of a genetic inability to get rid of heavy metals combined with the standard of practice was to put mercury amalgam in all chewing surfaces when I was young. So I got the mercury from dental amalgam.
Wow. So tell me a little bit about how that has affected your life, please.
So I was constantly ill, constantly with respiratory infections, female problems, joint problems as I aged, but way too young. I mean, in my 40s, I could barely walk. And it had a lot of mental health consequences as well. A psychiatric hospitalization related to heavy metal poisoning that was undetected.
Boy, we had talked earlier, this is to the other people listening, we had talked earlier about how long it would take, and I said about less than half an hour, but I might be wrong about that, Dor. I understand that you have a hard stop, and we will honor that. But what I wanted to know, how do you feel about this? You were poisoned. What's your feelings around that?
I have chosen to take undifferentiated energy that could have become anger at the system and instead channel it into my nonprofit organization and the work that I do with people who have also intractable health problems or seemingly intractable health problems.
Okay, and was that just like a light switch, or did you need some help to get to that place? That seems a very certainly forward thinking and if you don't mind my saying so, in the, the best way, self-interested way to go about it. But still, did you just do that, or did you need help getting there?
I needed to do a lot of suffering. I needed to have a lot of failures. I needed to feel completely abandoned by the conventional medical system in order to have the energy that pushed me in the direction of alternative medicine. That started long before I got the diagnosis of mercury poisoning. And actually, it was within the voice of these radio doctors in New York City. Bob Atkins notably was one of them, now deceased for about 14 years. I heard him talk about me, my scenario on the radio one day, and I said, I have 4 out of the 5 things that he's talking about today. I think he's a quack. I said that, but I'm going to go check out this kind of medicine that he practices, because I think that he has just described my situation.
Wow. Yeah. It's funny. Bob Atkins was a radio doctor. He was not Robert Atkins, the diet doctor, right?
They're the same.
Really?
Bob Atkins, the radio personality, used to be known as the diet doctor, the Atkins diet doctor.
I used to be his patient, Dor.
So I started out as a patient, and then I ended up being the president of a nonprofit organization that provided educational programming as the sister organization to his nonprofit organization, which was the Political Action Committee. It's called the Foundation for the Advancement of Innovative Medicine.
I still I just have to check in on this again. This is the Atkins diet doctor.
This is the Atkins diet doctor. Same fellow.
Okay, so we have a couple of other things that Dora and I in a previous conversation discovered are like intersecting things, but this is another one because he was my doctor for a while.
Oh, mine too.
How do you like that? Okay, well, we could stop here and I would be satisfied with the result. This is fascinating, and I hope. Well, anyway, let's shift gears a little bit. Tell me, your first garden was?
My first garden was just a home vegetable garden, like 20 or 30 years ago. But my first big garden was about 15 years ago. I started garden-based education at an elementary school in Princeton, New Jersey, and used that as the springboard to start offering continuing education credit for educators, school counselors, nurses, whoever, who wanted to bring garden-based education into their school. So it was sort of a spectrum of activity.
And are you still doing that?
No, I stopped 2 years ago when my nonprofit organization required my full-time attention.
I see. Do those curricula still exist?
It's still being used, and because I ran so many school gardening conferences for people in the tri-state area, the information is still out there and it's still used by a lot of people.
Awesome. So I don't know, you said your first big garden was 15 years ago. What's the biggest garden you've ever been involved with?
Well, that was it. In terms of dimensions, it was longer than the soccer field, 20 or 30 feet wide. However big that is, I don't know.
That's pretty big.
Yeah.
Did you get an echo that time? Okay. If you could only grow one thing, what would it be?
Soil! You know the answer to that question. The answer is you only grow soil, and the soil grows everything else for you.
Okay, I did not expect that answer. I do get it. Great answer. Great answer. We're all soil farmers.
We're all soil farmers.
Well, that might have been the answer to my next question, but I'll ask anyway. Tell me some wisdom of gardening that applies across your life.
I use the organic garden metaphor for just about all areas of my life, which is that if you invest yourself, to be crass, let's say numbers, 95% in creating an environment in the case of a garden, the soil. The rest will basically take care of itself. Only 5% on the seeds and whatever the inputs are. It's all about the soil. It's all about the environment.
Just to explain the slight gaps in our conversation, it is a little unnatural. Conversation usually proceeds without gaps. The reason is that I'm taking notes. And Dora knew that, but I wanted to explain that to anyone watching. Dora, what was your first paying job?
My first paying job was at the American Boy Choir School, fresh out of college, and I was the secretary to the headmaster, and I taught the diction for the German repertoire.
You taught diction for the German repertoire?
Yes, the American Boy Choir is really the premier boys choir in the United States, and they sang in several languages, and I taught them German.
You already had expertise or facility with German?
That was my major. I was just out of college with a German major, German and Swedish.
Understood. Understood. Why those?
I guess just it's in my blood. I don't have a better answer. I just like languages, and those languages were in my blood.
My brother went to Princeton and studied languages.
Oh, yeah.
At 14 or 15, what did you think you'd be doing today?
It was garbled. Can you ask me again?
Sure. At 14 or 15 years of age,
yeah,
what did you think you'd be doing today?
Oh, I wanted to be a dancer.
What kind? Oh dear, are we having some technical problems?
No. Did you ask another question?
I did. What kind of dancer?
What kind of dancer? Well, at that time I was taking ballet lessons, but I love ballroom, I love belly dancing, if it involves movement, I love it.
Okay, pardon me. Your homepage lists you as author, speaker, educator, counselor, TV host. Which one's the most fun?
The most gratifying is counselor. They didn't put cook in there. Cook is the most fun. We have to get a cook in there.
Okay, I got it. What was your first awareness of the benefits of community?
Well, I guess my first experience benefiting with a community was just growing up in a church congregation in a nice town. But I recognized the therapeutic value of community when I didn't have it. 20 years ago, when I was really sick with something that made me a very difficult person to be with, I needed social support. I needed people who understood me or accepted me, even if they didn't understand me. And so I have to say, I created the community in suppers that I needed that was not available to me.
Okay, I seem to notice, I think anybody would notice, it's not my brilliance, that you thrive at the intersection of food and community gardening and suppers, which we'll get to, which I will ask you about in a minute. But I guess that's not really a question. Would you say it's true that you thrive at the intersection of food and community?
Yes. Could we have another word in there and put health in there too?
Okay, sure.
Food, community, health.
Excellent. The answer improves the question. So now, please tell me, how does the suppers program function?
How did it start, or how does it I'll tell you how it functions. So people who are experiencing unnecessary suffering, that they assume may be related to how they eat and how they behave find their way to us. Could be diabetic, obese, have rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, any of the chronic inflammatory conditions, recovering alcoholics, people with bone health issues. If it relates to food and they need support to deal with it, they find their way to us. We get them together in one kitchen. We cook together. We eat together. We do a lot of experiments and activities to tease out a person's individual needs of whole foods. We eliminate all processed foods. We tease out their individual needs, and then we have this beautiful social experience around a mutual desire to heal.
What's a logical miracle?
A logical miracle is what happens in the natural order of things when people get their basic needs met for good nutrition and social support. In our case, most of the miracles involve the reversal of a previously believed to be intractable disease or chronic health condition. It could be more comfortable sobriety in a person who's in recovery. It could be less dependence on medication or less dependence on insulin, for example, if you're a type 1 diabetic. But it's some physical, emotional, psychological manifestation of getting needs met that were previously unmet.
And what do you get out of the Suppers program?
I get the helper's high. There's just nothing better than cooking with a bunch of people and sitting down at a table with 8 or 10 people and watching them solve health problems that they could not do alone or that they couldn't just do on doctor's advice.
Please, name someone outside your family doing heroic things.
Heroic things. Oh, am I allowed to be political here?
You're allowed to do whatever you want.
So I think some of the heroic things are being done around fighting the pull into hating immigrants, distinguishing self from others in hateful ways. I don't need to name names. These are my heroes. The people who are living tolerance, living acceptance.
Okay. Yeah, me too. Could you name someone who's doing that?
I would go with Angela Merkel.
Another German reference.
Another German reference, right?
Okay, great. Something that surprises you. Excuse me, I said that wrong. Something about you that surprises people.
Something about me that surprises people. Oh, I know exactly what you want. I used to smoke cigarettes. I drank bourbon. I ate every wrong thing. I was a total addict. I have a history of not being clean at all.
Something about other people that surprises you.
Intolerance. I'm surprised at what short leashes people have, but then I haven't walked a mile in their shoes, so I shouldn't be judgmental.
Okay, something different, I guess, if you find this overlapping. Something that people just don't understand.
I would say we have a national or a global problem that people don't understand, that most chronic illness today is optional. You select your way into it. And I don't want to make the sufferers wrong. It comes from a medical system, and a food system, an insurance system that benefits when people suffer. It is all very lucrative suffering for the people who are, you know, in the industries. And I think that most people don't understand that if they behaved and ate their way into their chronic illnesses, they can behave and eat their way out of their chronic illnesses.
Excellent. Well said. So tell me what's something I should have asked you about but haven't yet?
Well, if I had a magic wand and I could say, oh, I wish you had read on the website the words, how you feel is data, I would want to be asked, what does that mean, how you feel is data?
I did read those words. Tell me what it means, please.
Okay. So how you feel is data is our most common slogan at suppers. And it simply means that for everything that you're experiencing, your feelings, your illnesses, your high moods, your fatigue and mental fatigue, for everything you experience, it is what it is. But those feelings are also data about how you interact with the food that you're eating, how you interact with the environment. So I would have people never again look at depression, anxiety, learning issues, obesity, diabetes, all of these experiences as just what they are, just a diagnosis. I would want people to understand that it's feedback.
Excellent. I got it. So what is something, as specific as you can, something you wish everybody would just get right?
I wish certain food and beverage manufacturers would just drop dead. There's nothing else that they could do to benefit the rest of us except cease to exist. They can't bottle more water, or, you know, there's a limit to what you can do other than go out of existence. So I would have them find a new way to make money that doesn't do so much damage.
Excellent. You must have done this kind of thing before. You've been great.
Oh, I talk a lot.
Actually, even that part. I had an interview once with Deb Brigard. Hi, Deb. It was 10 words or less. The thing went 55 minutes. And there were technical difficulties that are comical and worthwhile for anyone to go and look at that one, apart from the discussion. But she, you know, it was a wonderful conversation. I loved it. And I'm not saying that just so I can now bash her, because I'm not going to. But when someone at least tries to get close to the idea of 10 words or less, I think it goes really well. Looks like about 23 minutes, and we covered more things than I had to ask about, only because there were more things that I learned about you during our conversation. Thank you for spending the time. I wish you the very best. I wish you great success, and I hope people are listening. I'll do my part to share this as well as I can in places that I can, and if I can be of service to you, please let me know.
Thank you, Michael.
You bet. Thanks for spending this time.